Hi everyone, welcome to the Piano Keys. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Marina and I make courses and tutorials to help people all over the world reach their piano goals without years of lessons. And this is my assistant Elvis to make sure we keep things cute around here. In this video, I'll be talking about how to reach your goals. Hallelujah. And I decided to make this video because of all the feedback that I get from people who watch my channel, who interact with me on social media, who take my courses, who take Skype lessons with me, and even my friends who are learning to play the piano. And across the board, there seems to be kind of a low-level frustration that sometimes turns into pretty big frustration. And I think that I can help you avoid the frustrations and also kind of speed your way to where you want to go. Because this is a piano channel, the points I'm going to give you here relate to the piano, but they can just as easily relate to anything else that you do in life. Before I talk about how to reach your goals, I want to say some stuff about what's preventing you from reaching your goals. One of the things that I find really sad and kind of get angry about it, but I try not to because I know everybody has their own path to follow, but it makes me sad when people put in the time and the effort and the money on learning to play the piano and they don't ever reach their potential. And they think that it's because they started when they were too old, or they are too old now, or that they don't have talent. And neither one of these is really true. Talent, whatever we call talent, only matters when you reach like the top level of, professional. That doesn't apply to most of you, or probably to any of you. And age is really, it's just a number. And I'll tell you why. I've had people in their 20s and people in their 80s tell me that they're too old to learn piano. So, it's basically kind of a fallback to assume that if you don't start when you're a child, then it's hopeless, or that when you're older, you don't learn as well. This is not at all true. We're learning so much about the neuroplasticity of the brain, and if you keep learning, you will learn just as fast as you did when you were a child. The problem happens is that the method of learning as an adult is pretty different from what is offered to children. Okay, so let's talk about the first thing that might be preventing you from reaching your goals. You are confusing education with information. So what do I mean by that? Well, we know that there's a lot of information. We live in the information age, right? You do a Google search for just about anything you want to learn or know about, and within a fraction of a second, you'll have many, many listings. So information is abundant. Now, is it good information or is it junk information? What's good information? Good information is things that are going to be relevant to what you're interested in and that don't lead you down the wrong path. Junk information is basically anything that doesn't fit into the description that I just said. Lots of junk information on YouTube about piano. I'm really sorry to say that. In general, I'm not a believer in comparing yourself to anybody because it's kind of a waste of time. So I learn from other people on what to do and what not to do, but I don't compare myself to them. But right now I want to talk about all the different YouTube tutorials about piano that are actually hurting your chances of getting better at piano. The reason they're hurting your chances at getting better at piano is they don't offer you good information and they don't teach you in the right way that you can actually apply to what you're doing. And so you watch these videos and number one, you waste your time. And number two, you think that just because you don't understand what they're saying or that you can't apply what they're saying or that you can't play like the person on the screen, you turn that on yourself and you think it's because you're too old or you don't have talent. So the other thing wrong with junk information is sometimes on YouTube, they have clickbait titles And so they get clicked on over and over, which means they rise up in the search rankings, and they might be like the first or second thing that comes up when you do your search, and so you go to it. And so it's like a feedback loop. The more people that click on it, the more people it will be exposed to, and then, they're not really teaching you what the title says they're going to teach you. So one of the latest infractions I saw like this was I was looking for videos or courses that teach people how to play by ear, because a lot of you have asked me to teach you how to play by ear. And I'll tell you the truth, putting a course together is a lot of work. It takes over my life. And if I can find someone else who's done it, I would much rather point you in their direction than spend several months of my life coming up with a course. So I did a search, how to play piano by ear. And I think it was like the top or near the top result was a video by a very famous piano channel. I won't say which one. And I think the title was something like how to play any song by ear. It's not a very long video, maybe 20 minutes. So I was really intrigued, and I said, wow, playing any song by ear in 20 minutes. Okay, I'll bite. Let's take a look. So I went to this video. It's got thousands of views. I mean, many people have watched this, okay? And the number one step that they present in how to play a song by ear, are you ready? The number one thing you should do is do a Google search for what chords are in that song. A Google search is not learning to play by ear. It's getting other people's information. It's not a whole lot different than buying sheet music or getting sheet music and learning from the sheet music. Also, many times the chords that you find online for songs are not correct, but that's beside the point. So the number one step was to get the chords for the song. That's not how to play by ear. So you might go on this video, watch it, and say, yeah, I'm not sure what to do now. I guess I can't play by ear. I guess I'm too old to understand this. I guess I'm not talented enough to do this. No, it's bad information. So what is the difference between information and education? All right. Information is giving you bits of facts. So for example, imagine if you're learning to speak a new language and somebody shows you the letters that are in that language and what they sound like. They show you the alphabet and tell you how to say those letters. Great. You have the information for how to recognize and read the individual letters of the alphabet. Now, can you take that information and use it to read a book in that language and understand it, or even to form your own words and sentences, or to understand someone else who's speaking to you in that language? No. You have information, but you haven't been educated on how to put that information to use, how to combine the letters to make words, what those words mean, how to use them conversationally, how to recognize them when you hear them, okay? So if you have had trouble in the past or have trouble now reading music, lots of people tell me, I can't read music, it's too confusing. I look at it and my eyes just glaze over. It's probably because somebody has shown you, okay, middle C is on this line, D is on that line, and this is where it is on the piano. That's just information. That doesn't teach you how to use that information to read an actual musical score, okay? So you've got information, but not education. And that's why in my courses, I give you the information, and then we put that information to use by teaching you what to do with it. This is how children are taught. Often adults are not taught like this because, well, I'm sorry to say that many instructors don't think that adults deserve the same kind of in-depth study as children do, because they're not going to be professionals, or they're just doing this for fun, which it's not fun if you're frustrated, right? Or well, I wasn't gonna say this, but I'll say it. As a course creator myself, I belong to Facebook groups, and I've had interactions with other course creators, and some of them have only like one piano course that promises you the world, and of course can't teach you how to actually play piano in one course. And they brag about how much money they make on these courses. So that actually makes me really mad. That's not why I make courses. Of course I want to make money at them because I'm putting my time and expertise in it. But more above that is I want you to get the goals that you're after, okay? I often tell my students, my real life students, I want to make you not need me as soon as possible. So I teach you how to teach yourself, right? I give you all the information. I teach you how to teach yourself. So that's why I have all these courses, because we are teaching you how to do different things. So one course and bragging about how much money I make at it is not my style. But I just want to tell you, kind of like the behind the scenes of promising you these amazing gains in the piano courses and piano tutorials. I'm not saying that they have negative or bad intentions. I'm just saying be careful. If something sounds too good to be true, then All right, so I hope we're clear. Education versus information. The second reason why you may not be reaching your goals is you have unrealistic expectations. That's related a little bit to what I just talked about, people promising you things that they can't deliver. So we again live in a world where things are fast. We expect instant deliveries, instant results. We want to lose 10 pounds overnight, just taking this pill. So we're used to these messages coming at us that things can happen fast. And it's not really your fault for absorbing it, even though you might know that, intellectually it can't be true. If you hear something or are exposed to something enough times, it just kind of takes root in your mind and it starts to seem plausible. So I'm sure you know by now, if you've spent any time at the piano, that playing the piano is a very complicated mental and physical process. There is no way that you can watch a video of me teaching you the notes to the third movement of the Moonlight Sonata, and just by watching where the notes are and what fingers go there, be able to replicate that. You haven't built up the basis for that kind of musical understanding, and also your body being able to make those moves in the same way that I can watch a gymnast, do their floor routine and just kind of tumble and leap and land in the splits. I understand what they're doing, they're transferring the weight backwards and all this other. My body can't do it though. I haven't built up the neural pathways, nor the strength, nor the flexibility, all that stuff. I don't have it. So just because I can see someone doing it, if somebody tells me in a video, hey, I can show you how to do 3 backflips in a row, I'm not going to believe them. Now, if I have a background, in enough of physical training to be able to do that, maybe. Okay, so for example, I, as a lifelong pianist, if I go on a tutorial that says, hey, I can teach you how to play, I don't know, this jazz lick, then I can watch it and learn it no problem, because I already know how to process that information. So unrealistic expectations, you might think, wow, I'm practicing, so long. This happens all the time on my Moonlight Sonata tutorials or Rondo alla Turca. They have hundreds of thousands of views, and almost everybody understands that it takes time and continuous effort. But every once in a while, there'll be a comment saying, this is too hard. Or, it took me 3 weeks to get the first part. Yes, it is hard, and yes, it takes time. This is reality. So unrealistic expectations. The third thing that's keeping you from achieving your piano goals is related to what I just talked about, and that is that your technique, your piano technique, needs an upgrade. Just because anyone can sit at a piano and play a few notes does not mean that everyone is then naturally able to move their fingers with the independence that is needed, the hand independence, the flexibility in your hand and in your thinking. What else? The speed that you need, that your mind can think about a bunch of things at the same time and your fingers and your hands can obey. All this is related to technique. So if you're asking me on the videos to give you tips on how you can play the hands together or tips on how you can play the fast parts, there's not really tips. Here's my big tip. You need to work on your piano technique, okay? Just like in the gymnastics thing that I talked about, your body and your mind have to have training to do what you want to do. If you want to train your fingers and your mind and your hands in playing without pain, playing fast, being able to play hands separately, having finger independence, all those things, I teach those in my Become a Piano Superhero series. The people who have taken these courses tell me that it was nothing like what they expected. And even the people that have done piano for a while, I think there was one man, he said he bought my course to just support me because he likes what I'm doing, but he thought it would be kind of too easy for him. You can actually read that on my website. I put his testimonial there because I thought it was amazing. He started doing this course and he was like, whoa, wait a minute. This is harder than I thought, okay? So I train you layer by layer how to do all these things that you want to do at the piano. It might seem like it's very time consuming, and it kind of is because you have to do it consistently over kind of a long period of time, but here's the great thing is that once you have built up your technique, then you just have to maintain it. You don't ever have to build it up again like I did when I had hurt myself in college. If you want to see that video, you can, I'll link to it right here. So once you build up your technique, you've got it. And then all the pieces and the songs that you want to play will happen for you much easier, much faster, and you'll have more fun playing them because you'll feel like you're in control. The fourth thing that is keeping you from achieving your goals is kind of the opposite, sort of what I just talked about, and that is not having goals that are big enough. What? Yeah, it's true. Here's what I mean. So you say to yourself, I just want to learn to play piano and have fun. I just want to enjoy making music. And to you, that looks like it's kind of a small goal. And you start learning pieces or songs, and then you hit a ceiling because your technique can't keep up with you, or you thought you wanted to play just easy pieces, but you played those, and now you want to play harder pieces. So your initial ceiling was really low, and you achieved it, and then you got to a point where you didn't prepare yourself for a higher achievement, and so you don't want to go all the way back and rebuild your technique and learn how to read music and do ear training, and so you just kind of quit. Okay? Because as adults, we don't want to have to go from scratch and do everything when we think we've already achieved a certain amount in a subject. So right from the start, say to yourself, okay, yes, I want to play the piano. I want to have fun doing it. Why don't I learn as much as I can right from the beginning? This is what I do anytime I want to learn something. So I wanted to learn tap dancing as an adult. And I took a couple of classes from teachers who were teaching adults, and they cut so many corners, and I had so many questions that I needed answered because I want to do it the best that I can do it. I'm not going to be a professional dancer. I know that. It's not even what I want. But I don't want to have limitations on me that I don't need to have. So I would ask these questions, and the teachers would just kind of brush me off. Then I found teachers that were more like me in teaching, that believed that technique is very important and that learning the basics is what allows you to get as good as you want to get. So when I started studying with these teachers, then I started to really be able to be a tap dancer the way I wanted to be. Okay, so I teach people in the way that I want to be taught, and this is my advice to you, though I rarely give advice. This is my tip for you. Learn as much as you can right from the start, because you never know where you'll want to go, and you don't want to have unnatural ceilings on your growth. And the fifth thing that is keeping you from achieving your goals is something called the Dunning-Kruger effect. Basically, the effect is this, and it's so common that it has a name. When we learn a little bit about a subject, we feel like we know a lot. The more we learn about a subject, the more we know that there is to learn. So basically, beginners think that they're better than they are and they know more than they do. And very advanced pianists know that there is a whole lot more to learn and always getting better. So the way that this limits your progress is you say, oh, I know everything I need to know. I just have to practice it. It's not true. I don't even know everything I need to know, and I've been a musician since, basically I could talk, right? I played piano and sang from a very young age. So I made a video about this called The Secret to Getting Good. You can see it over here. But basically, my point here is keep an open mind, always be willing to learn, and keep expecting more of yourself, because you don't know as much as you're gonna know if you keep learning. And if you don't keep learning, then you get stuck. Okay, so these are the things that I think that are limiting your progress. Now let's talk about what you can do about it. So number one, make sure you're getting good information. As I said before, if a promise sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Watch it, learn it, read it if you want to, but keep in mind that there are really no shortcuts. Nobody has discovered a way to play piano in 10 easy lessons. I promise you that. Also, if you're learning from somebody who's playing piano, make sure that you want to play like them. So if you see their hands looking like claws as they're playing, if you see them playing fast runs that are sounding uneven and they're not able to keep up, do you really want to learn from them? If someone tells you you don't need to learn how to read music, it's true, you don't. There are lots of musicians that don't know how to read music, and they're fine. But I'll tell you something. I've never met a musician who doesn't read music who says, I'm glad I don't read music. Not a one. They all say, I wish I had learned, but at this point, it's too late. I don't want to go back. Talked about that earlier in this video. So they tell you, you don't need to learn to read music, just do this, this, and this. Okay, but then again, you are limited. So make sure that the information you're getting is good, and make sure that you are getting education that makes that information useful to what you want to do. Number two thing you can do to achieve your goals. Put your information and education to use consistently. Do not practice once a week and wonder why you're not getting better. Just 10 minutes a day is much, much better than an hour and a half once a week. So at this point, somebody will probably comment, you can't achieve anything in 10 minutes a day. I'm unsubscribing. All right, listen. You can achieve a lot in 10 minutes a day. Can you be a professional caliber pianist, or attempting to be a professional caliber pianist and achieve it in 10 minutes a day? No, of course not. So you don't need to tell me that in the comment. I get it. However, if you are practicing 10 minutes every day, it's much, much better than trying to cram it in on one day a week. I hope we're clear. Number three of the list of things you can do to achieve your goal. Have smaller goals on the way to the big goals. And then reward yourself for achieving these smaller goals. Okay, this seems like a no-brainer, but it's actually really important. So, you know how video games are super addictive? It's because they give you small rewards consistently. And what this does is it triggers the reward centers of your brain to release the chemicals that make you feel good, like dopamine, right? And so you keep getting these hits of dopamine and some other chemicals, but I think it's mostly dopamine, and you want more of that, okay? So Let's say your big goal is to learn how to play rondo alla turca from my tutorials. A small goal you could set on the way to learning the whole piece is to say like, okay, I'll learn the first section of the first tutorial and then I'll reward myself. So you can come up with any kind of reward that works for you. Either, post it on social media if you like the feedback and the attention, or go for a walk, or I don't know, whatever you like to do. It has to be meaningful for you and make you feel good. This is really important. A lot of times what we do is we look at the entire goal. Like, I want to play rondo alla turca. And that's going to be a pretty long-term goal for most people who are learning from a tutorial. On the way to that big goal, if we don't have small celebrations, we lose sight of why did we start this in the first place, right? And we might never finish. Or it just seems like it's taking forever and it becomes drudgery. So small goals, achieve them, reward yourself, rinse, repeat, okay? This is how our human brains work. They need lots of good feel chemicals in order to keep going at something. So think of them as stepping stones to get to where you want to go, okay? Try it. You might think like, this is silly. Just try it, okay? It works. Okay, the fourth thing. Now, many of you are going to check out on this one. You're going to say, it's not for me. This doesn't apply to me. I don't work this way. But I, again, want you to keep an open mind. So the fourth thing is you need to have a community that is interested in the same thing that you're interested, that can provide you feedback, that can celebrate with you, that can keep you accountable, that you can go to when you're feeling frustrated, that you can ask questions to. This is how human beings evolved. We evolved in groups, in villages, and the way that we live now, isolated in our homes, especially in 2020, just kind of sitting in front of a screen, this is very unnatural for us. And yes, maybe we can't get together in groups, but for sure, we can have a community on social media. We know that support group models work because look at how many there are out in the world, okay? There are teams for doing everything. There are groups for doing everything. People who are trying to kick an addiction to substances, they have support groups. People who have gone through trauma, they have support groups. These are groups of people who understand what they're going through, have similar goals. We have, people who show up in bars and watch a football game together. They could watch at home, but the community feel is super important, right? So it's the same thing in piano. Don't try to learn it by yourself. And I'm one of those people who, just kind of wants to do things on my own, but I force myself to go out and find communities because I know that that's really the best thing for me. So I created a community for the people who are learning from my channel and from my courses, and it's a private group called Piano Practice Tips with the Piano Keys. You have to answer every single question and you have to agree to the group rules, and I would love it if you would join and be an active member of that group. I'm there all the time, cheering you on, answering questions, providing tips on the videos that are posted, and people are starting to make friendships in that group too. And it's kind of taking on a life of its own, and I can barely keep up anymore, but I'm still there every day. So ask to join, and if you answer the questions and all that, then and you look like you're not a scammer, I will let you in. And the last thing that you can do to achieve your goals is super important. It might be the most important thing that I say in this video. That has to do with your self-talk. Who is the person you talk to most in life? It's you. You're constantly talking to yourself. You're commenting on the world around you. You're telling yourself things about your experience. You're kind of in this ongoing conversation, and you're creating your life in your mind, right? That's happening around you. So be careful what you say to yourself. Here are two phrases that I highly support getting out of your vocabulary. They are, I'm too old, and I'm not talented, or I don't have talent, same thing. Put those out of your life. They are not true, and further, they don't help you achieve anything. So why would you waste your time with this kind of self-talk? Don't do it. Okay, before I say goodbye to you, I want to leave you with a quote from the great Michelangelo, who said, The greater danger for most of us lies not in setting our aim too high and falling short, but in setting our aim too low and achieving our mark. So expect great things for yourself, do wonderful things in life, set your aim high, reward yourself. Follow me on Instagram, the Piano Keys TPK. Lots of really wonderful resources for you on my website, thepianokeys.com. And I have a Facebook page, The Piano Keys. Keep practicing, have fun, and I will see you soon. Bye.